locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
dick, that's a sex machine to all the chicks. You damn right. Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it? Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? Right on. You see, this cat chef is a bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
What I'm talking about, Chef?
Then we can do it.
He's a complicated man, but no one understands him but his woman.
John Jack.
And good morning. Welcome to Superintendent Spotlight. What is the date today? Today's the 17th already. Yeah, and it's definitely fall outside. Love it. Yeah. Today we have two guests. We were supposed to have athletics, but we had a last-minute change. So our first half hour, we have Lenore Bernash from the IT department or the Westfield Technology Center. She's the department head, I think the title. I don't know, chair, lead. I don't know. Can she hear us? Lenore, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Perfect.
Bingo.
All right, so we have a connection. All right. And I think we're going to have athletics on next week.
Sounds great.
We'll talk to Ryan. So before we start the show, I do want to mention something. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, today's Thursday, right? Tomorrow, my days are all confused
I know.
this week.
I know.
It feels like it's the long week. This is a free grab-and-go dinner and supplies. Supplies include frozen chicken, assorted produce, milk, and cheese. That's tomorrow from 1 to 3 at the Boys and Girls Club parking lot at 28 West Silver Street in Westfield. Contact-free, no eligibility requirements while supplies last. All this is free, and it's coming to them by the Farmers to Families Food Box Program and the Abbey Group. So that is for any Westfield resident. Pretty cool, right?
That sounds great.
It does. All right. Let's get down to business. So we have Lenore Bernash with us today. And Lenore, I think Tuesday was National IT Professionals Day or something, right? So happy National IT Professionals Day, a couple days late. But certainly it was, for us to celebrate the Tech Center was we definitely wanted to recognize all the work you've done to help us get ready for this school year. So how many Chromebooks do we have out there right now? A ton, right?
All right. Well, I'm gonna key off of your thank you for the National
perfect.
Professional Days, because I was planning on calling into the show on Tuesday morning to give a shout out to my staff, but apparently there were a few technical difficulties. So, anyways, I just want to give a
That's
shout
ironic.
out. I know. So, okay, just give a quick shout out to my team: Steve, Kevin, Richard, Rick, Sam, Scott, Jeremy, Prem, and Crystal. And those are the members of my team. And then I do have to shout out to some of the school people who have been helping us with the technology. We've got Erica and Baraka, who are very involved with us. And then at the local levels, we have Sarah, Hava, Donna, Kristen, Lou, Valerie, and Andre, who are out there, in addition to all the principals and assistant principals and everyone else, too many to mention, that have helped us. Now, back to your question about how many Chromebooks are out there. So this spring we rolled out, we handed out in conjunction with the schools, we handed out about 1,600 Chromebooks. And then over the past couple weeks, there were probably an additional 2,000 Chromebooks handed out.
Wow.
Wow. The system itself that we're using hasn't been fully updated yet by the end schools. So we're showing it a little short, but we have seen that there are almost 3,700 Chromebooks that have logged into our system within the past week.
That is incredible. And then, of course, there's some people using their own devices at home.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And, of course, we have Technical Academy students in the house today.
Yeah.
Running the camera, so that's pretty nice.
Very nice.
The kids, the kids are back here. Handing out that many Chromebooks is no small feat. And there's a little bit of a shortage going on too, right? Can you talk about that? I mean, I know it's all over. I mean, we're hearing it everywhere because obviously schools are ordering Chromebooks.
Yes. So there is a nationwide shortage of Chromebooks right now due to the fact that a lot of schools are going remote or delaying opening. everyone, including ourselves, put in their orders in late June, July, August for Chromebooks. And with everything that's happening overseas, and there's a delay, a manufacturing delay. So what the rumor is that we've heard is that Chromebooks can come in anywhere between October and January of next year.
Wow.
For orders that were placed in July and August. We were lucky. We placed one order in May, and we did get those in over the summer, and those are ones that we handed out. We ordered about 800 of them then.
That was a massive order, yes.
That was a big order, but we have two more orders we have three orders in the system. We have an order for another 800 that was placed in July, another for 1,000 that was placed in August, and then we have 200 teacher Chromebooks that were placed over in August as well that we're waiting for.
So that's quite a bit.
2,000 devices to come back in.
When we're done with this, when these come in, we're going to be 1-to-1, right? I mean, pretty much.
Pretty much, yes.
So
we were just, I want to say that we were about 4,200 devices, and we have about 5,200 students.
Right.
Before the orders were done. So we're very close to 1-to-1. If not within the next, hopefully with the next group of orders, we will be ready to go 1-to-1.
Okay. So for parents, right now, families can use their own device, but our goal, right, is to get to the point where everyone is using a Westfield Public Schools device, right?
Correct.
That's where we want to go to. Just for our parents who probably have no idea why we want to do that, can you just maybe explain a little bit what the benefits are to that?
So the benefits to that is for the teachers on the teacher side, when they push out their classroom and they push out their learning plans, being able to push it out to a district-owned devices ensures that those district devices have the right software on them. Personal devices could have that software, but they may encounter issues with it.
Right.
And we can't support personal devices.
Right.
So we're not built to support personal devices. I don't have a team to support personal devices. So that's why if it's a district-owned device, we can swap things out. We can make sure that things are getting down to the student accounts as they need to.
Excellent.
You know, what really excites me is hearing that we're basically going to be 1-to-1, and I'm just projecting ahead into the future, you know, when we actually have kids back in schools, like maybe a year from now or two, and
imagining life without COVID,
right? And
right? There you go, Susan.
And everybody's got a device, you know, ready to rock and roll in the buildings, and that's what we've wanted for years.
We have, and to think about it, a little over 4 years ago, we didn't have one Chromebook.
Exactly.
So
we've made a lot of progress in 4 years.
Absolutely. So we've been in remote learning, and I got to tell you, I've gotten some emails from some families, some frustrated,
sure,
and some having a lot of success. So was there an issue with Google this week or something, so we can explain that? Because I know there was a problem maybe yesterday, and people have to understand. So, I mean, you know, is every district, probably 90% of districts are using Google Classroom, I think. I mean, it's pretty up there.
Right.
What are we encountering, Lenore?
So what I've heard, let's put it this way, what I've seen as far as tickets come in our system, we have a work order system.
Yeah.
And as I've seen as tickets come into our system, and what I've heard through the grapevine from teachers reaching out and talking to the technicians, talking to Erica, is that there are some delays and lags. There's Google Meets that are getting dropped along the way.
I've heard that too, right.
And so one of the key things to keep in mind is that this week is the first start of school week for many schools across Massachusetts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was Monday or Tuesday start date.
Yeah, and I know there's some of them that started yesterday too, as well, Wednesday. So it's been a rough week as far as the sheer volume of people getting on.
Sure.
And then that's just Massachusetts. I mean, you've got all the rest of the country that are, you know, who are using Google as well. So we are examining different things. There was a Google issue with Google Drive earlier this week where Google actually reported there were areas and instances down. So depending on where your data is housed at Google, your data can be housed all over the country. And it just so happens that some of our users, their data was housed in one of those areas that was down. So there's been little ups and downs. There's little hiccups along the way. What we have noticed, we're monitoring the situation. And one of the recommendations is when students join a Google Meet with their teachers to have as few tabs open as possible.
That's
important.
important.
That's a great point.
Right. Only have Google Meet and maybe your Google Classroom open. Don't have a separate web browser open or a Sheets document open or.
What does that do if you have those other windows open? Just so people know.
I can tell you.
Yeah, well, I know
Lenore.
you know the answer.
I experienced it yesterday.
It's like I'm guilty of it as anyone else.
Right.
On my computer, I could have upwards of 30 tabs open, 30 different applications running. What's going to happen is that your computer's going to slow way down. And on a Chromebook, it's that much. I don't want to say that much worse, but it maxes out your processor that much quicker. So if the more tabs you have open, the slower your computer's going to get.
That's great advice.
The
Excellent
recommendation
advice.
from Google is only to have 2 tabs open at the
2.
most when you're in a Google Meet.
Okay.
When you're
Good,
not in
good.
Google Meet, you can open more things.
Now the
But when
video,
you're
the video in
it's the
Google
video
Meet.
that's intensive.
Okay,
Yes.
it's the video.
It's the video that's intensive.
Yep.
The other option too is I know that the teachers do like to see their students,
Right.
but from time to time it might be beneficial to shut the video off, just so they can see the teacher present. So if there are issues, once the students checked in with the teacher and the teacher's known they're there, it could be from time to time, not always, to shut the video off. But like I said, we're going to leave that in the hands of the teachers to recommend. But what we're saying is as few tabs open as possible at max. The recommended max is 2. So Google Classroom and your Google Meet session, and to shut everything else down. The other thing that's very very important to say is that at the end of the day, when you're all done using your Chromebook, the students and staff should sign out from their Chromebook and shut down their Chromebook. A lot of people we see, they're just shutting the cover and saying, "Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
See you tomorrow. Right.
shut the cover." No,
I'm
if you
guilty
really-
of that.
Absolutely.
No. Yeah,
What does that
they
do? What is that? Why are you saying we need to shut them down? That's news. I'd see.
It's basically letting your computer reset overnight or reset to the next time. It's basically doing a cold restart of your computer. So when you say sign off, that logs you off. When you shut down, it shuts the computer down. So when it powers on in the morning, it reaches back out to us and says, "Hey, are there any updates out there that I need?
Right.
Is there anything I need to install?" And it'll download all that. So then the next time you shut off again, it will install all those updates out there. So it's very important that they should do that every night.
Every night.
Yes.
So, I mean, is there anything else? Any advice you'd give to our families that are at home?
The only other advice I would give really would be to have if you're experiencing issues with lag or issues with slowness, is to make sure that your student is positioned in a place where they're close to your wireless
router. Mm-hmm.
So if your student is upstairs in their, I'm not saying that they would be, but if they're upstairs in their bedroom and your wireless router is downstairs in the living room and you're halfway across the house from each other, it's going to have an impact on the speed.
Can
So
people get wireless extenders? Do those even work?
some of them do work. I'm not saying they all work, but some of them do work.
I was asking for myself because, but
Yeah,
and other
every
families too. I
company
mean,
does have wireless extenders out there. We've had hit or miss with some of them, so. So it could
because if
work.
I'm in my living room and then that's where the router is, and then I go upstairs, even I notice it's slower on my phone and everything else. So that's why I was curious if it's worth even investing in.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, I think we're going to take our first break.
Absolutely.
It is 9:16. You're listening to Superintendent Spotlight on WSKB 89.5 or watching on WCPC Channel 15. We'll be back in a few minutes.
When the dogwoods start to bloom and the crickets hum their tune, that's usually about the time that I feel most alive. But the news has all been bad, and the whole world seems so sad. I ain't have much else going on, so I sat down and wrote this song. I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss the road, I miss my band, giving hugs and shaking hands. It's a mystery, I suppose, just how long this thing goes, but there'll be crowds and there'll be shows. my mom, I miss my dad, miss the road, I miss my band, giving hugs and shaking hands. Well, it's a mystery, I suppose, just how long this thing goes, but there'll be crowds and there'll be shows, and there will be light after dawn, someday when we are 6 feet apart. I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss the road, I miss my band, giving hugs and shaking hands. Well, it's a mystery, I suppose, just how long this thing goes, but there'll be crowds and there'll be shows, and there will be light after dawn, someday when we are 6 feet apart. There will be light after dark, someday when we are 6 feet apart.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardy siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for ArtsBeat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And welcome back to Superintendent Spotlight. It is about 62 degrees, and I have to tell you, I looked at the forecast coming up. Fall is here, folks.
Thank goodness.
It is, but we have some nights coming up that are going to hit the 30s.
Yeah.
Already.
Absolutely.
And
one thing's for sure, though, regardless of what the temperature is outside, our studio is always probably in the 70s.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're like mid-70s.
It's tropical. It's tropical in here.
Which on some days will be really nice.
It will.
You know.
Well, you're always cold anyway. Not really, no. I'm always warm.
That's because you're always warm.
Yeah.
Right. Always warm.
All right. And so our guest for our first half hour today, we have Lenore Bernash from the Westfield Technology Center. Welcome back, Lenore. Thank you for agreeing to be our guest this morning. Chris?
You know, Lenore, we were talking off the air. One of the things I think that we didn't cover, but I think would be really important for us to talk about this morning would be, there are going to be the inevitable tech issues that occur in any IT department anywhere in the world at any point in time. But when we're trying something as lofty as basically full remote distance learning in the district, other than our kiddos right here at WTA right now, we're going to encounter some issues. We're obviously going to encounter some problems. So for our listeners out there, what should they do if they're having, say we've done everything that you've asked them to do, shut the Chromebook down every night, log off, set up the learning station close to the router. Say we've done all those things and
close
out the windows, and we're still having tech issues. What should they do?
So basically, at a family level, what they should be doing is going to their schools first, reporting it to their schools. Most of the schools have a media support person there, or they have the means to get directly in touch with us. their best bet is to go to their schools, to their principals first. Sometimes the principals will be able to swap out a device, or the media person will be able to swap out a device and get us the one that needs repair right away. If they're having issues more than that, or if it's off hours on the weekends, we do have an email account out there. It's WPS Tech Support at schoolsofwestfield.org that they can send emails to. It is monitored. We try and address it as soon as possible. If not, we send it over to the schools, to the principals, or we send it to the team that resets passwords. A lot of times, most of the issues we're having
passwords
right at the start of the year were the reset passwords. So one of the key things to point out is our network in general, as a student before pre-COVID, we had set password rules as far as guidelines. So saying like the kindergartners had this type of password, grades 1 through 3 had a different type of passwords, grade 4 through 12 had a completely, more intense, more complex type of password. So we had to make some adjustments to that over the years, over with COVID and everything. So the start of the year, all the first graders, their passwords changed from a generic kindergarten password to an individualized password. And so all the parents who had been using that generic password this spring, all of a sudden found out, hey, my child's password was changed. So we received a lot of calls on that right off the bat. We've provided the information to the schools, so the schools should be able to help with that. The other concern is when a new student comes in, or if a student transfers amongst the schools, sometimes that password will change again and the information has to get to the school. Sometimes it does take sometimes it takes 24 hours between the time that the information's entered in the system by central office saying that Joe Smith is our new student, he's at Abner Gibbs School, to the time it gets to us and says, oh, okay, look, we have a new student, we have to add an account in for them. That student could be in the school already. We just didn't get the information until like right away. So it sometimes there is a lag. So if it's your student's very first day in school, you might not get the information until the second day.
Sure. Well, and I want to say too, we had over 100 kids registered the last week.
And that's every year.
Yeah, but that makes your job more difficult because, the communication piece, and we're trying to register the students, and it does get to you eventually, but the late late students registering like that is difficult for us too.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on something Lenore mentioned, central office, and just know at central office, we are always there to help out anybody, anytime. But what was interesting the last couple of weeks was as soon as we handed out Chromebooks and there were issues, people started coming to us on the first floor. And I was like, I'm probably the last person that you want to try to help you out with this. So go to your schools and then we'll get in touch with the tech center and we'll go from there.
And that's what we've been telling parents too. That's where you start, is on the building level. And then if it needs to come to us or to you, the technology department, then we get there, right?
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is keep a small stockpile of devices that we can swap out with the schools.
Right.
So as students return devices that may be broken for some reason or another, not working, we fix them, repair them, and then get them back out.
I mean, can I ask you, do you have a number? How many devices have we had to swap out? And maybe you don't know, but I'm just wondering in terms of the durability of the Chromebook itself.
So the Chromebook itself, if it's taken care of, the Chromebook itself can last for 4 to 5 years easy.
Which is about after a computer too, right? I mean, after 4 or 5 years, your computer is kind of a dinosaur really these days. It's been the way for a while.
Right now, we have about 30 to 35 devices that are in the queue to be repaired. There's issues where they've been dropped, sometimes accidentally, sometimes not. And the cases have cracked, so we're trying to replace the cases. There's problems sometimes with the keyboards. We've had incidents in the past where keys have fallen off either by themselves or with a little assistance. So we are repairing those. We've had issues where the cases were inadvertently shut on objects, so the screens themselves get cracked. So
accidents happen. I mean, they do happen.
Right.
Intentional is unfortunate, but accidents do happen too.
So those are the 3 most common repairs on a Chromebook device, is just the screen, the keyboard, and the case. Those are the 3 most common ones. We are seeing some of our older Chromebooks, we are seeing issues with the batteries. I will So I'll make a shout out. If you notice that your keyboard's starting to get a little bit of a bubble in the middle of it, it might be, it'll probably still work, but you might want to let the school know. And
Okay.
a lot of times that's just because of the age of the battery. And
Okay.
that's a swap out that we can do as well.
All right, Lenore, anything else? We've got 2 minutes here, and then we've got to go to we got to go to a break, and then we are going
all
to.
I'm saying is, we're trying the best we can. My team is a little on the short side as far as staffing levels go, and just to put things in perspective, from a technical standpoint, we're getting 50 to 60 tickets in every single day.
Yeah, that's a
with
lot.
With a staff of 8 people. And that's just our tickets. Those are technical tickets. I know central office is getting tickets for changes to students. It's upwards of 40 to 50 of those a day too.
Yeah.
We're in our big surge of tickets. It happens every year at this time.
Absolutely.
It's just a little bit more difficult because people are remote versus in person. So,
But in a couple of weeks, we expect it'll settle down a bit, right? Hopefully.
I'm not expecting a slowdown until at least November.
Okay. I was trying to be optimistic. All right. Well, thank you, Lenore, for being
Thanks,
our guest
Lenore.
today. And thank you and your team for all you've done for Westfield Public Schools and our
That's right,
staff and
that's
students. We very much appreciate it, and keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. All right, Pete, take it away for a break. We'll come back. We have Joe Rouse from the Department of Public Health.
Break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip unzip it, lock it, fill it, call it, find it, view it, code it, jump and lock it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, start, format it. Technologic, 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 technologic. Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip unzip it, lock it, fill it, call it, find it, view it, code it, jump and lock it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, start, format it, buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip unzip it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, start, format it. Touch it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it. Surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, start, format it, buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip unzip it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, start, format it, buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip unzip it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it. Technologic, 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 technologic.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And welcome back to Superintendent Spotlight. It is Thursday, September 17th already.
Yes, sir.
This is now day 4 of school for Westfield Public Schools for students in grades 1 through 12. I want to remind folks that our pre-K students and our kindergarten students will start next Monday. They've been doing kindergarten and preschool screenings this week, so we are on track. Our next guest is Joe Rouse, who is the Director of Public Health here for the city of Westfield. Welcome, Joe. Can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, and it's nice. Pete put a picture up of you on the screen, so now people know what you look like. If they didn't know it before. Thank you, Pete. So, Joe, thank you for being on the show today, and I'm really going to get right to the point here. How are we doing with COVID in Westfield right now? I mean, it's been a few. We had a school committee meeting recently, and I know this Monday night we have a vote coming up. So, how are we doing?
Well, we're doing as I would expect right now. Unfortunately, yesterday when we reported out our weekly numbers, we had a little bit of an uptick. So that was to be expected.
Sure.
And it's okay. I mean, it's not totally, it's not crazy like it was in the beginning, but we did go up. I think we at least doubled our numbers from last week. I believe last week we had. So what we do is I think we reported out on Wednesday last week of 5 new confirmed cases, and this week it's 13. So obviously you can tell that, with more people getting back together, and hard to say what the commonality is for that uptick in the number. We haven't had a chance to really get down and dirty with that yet, but that's something we'll be doing for today and tomorrow to try and figure out, if it was maybe a bunch of people from the same party or something, our numbers are up, but I'm not panicking yet. It is, as I said, it was to be expected. So we just need to keep an eye on everything.
Well, and I remember just from our school committee meeting, you had said that you were cautious about the month of September because people might be coming back from vacations and things of that nature, right? And so that was why you had asked us to hold off, and I think even Westfield State, right?
Yeah, that was yes, that was the reason for that whole recommendation was knowing that, people were traveling to areas that weren't considered, that could have been considered in the hot zones, areas of concern, and coming back without maybe even knowing that they were supposed to notify the state or that they were supposed to quarantine or get a negative test. And you can't assume that everybody knows what we know. So, people just can blindly come back from a vacation in Florida and not know that they were supposed to do these things. And so, you have to be prepared for that, which I think that's probably the reason for the numbers going up a little bit. But hopefully next week, if we go up next week, I'll be a little bit more concerned. But again, this was a data that we figured on. We counted on this.
Kind of expected. So Monday night we have our school committee meeting, and I know you'll be joining us. Thank you for that. And we're going to be looking at, the school committee will be looking at going into Phase 1B, which would be starting on September 28th. And that would bring back our special education programs, our ASD, Essential Life Skills Developmental Learning Program, and preschool. And I'm not asking you to, because a lot can happen between now and Monday.
Right.
So I understand that. Are we thinking that we're going to be able to move forward in that phase, or do we press the pause button?
Well, that's interesting because I had that same conversation with I think it was the chief of staff at Westfield State University, and she asked the same thing. they're prepared to go back that same week.
Yeah, they're going the 29th, I think I saw on the paper.
29th, yeah, which was essentially 30 days from when I talked to the president,
Right.
and we made the agreement that we'd hold off for that. So my answer to her on that was, plan on moving forward with that unless there's some sort of a catastrophe. And at this point, it really has to be something that happens between now and then where it is just obvious that this is going to get into a community spread situation again. That's going to take a lot. I mean, you're right. A lot can happen just within that time before Monday.
One party.
And we will, yeah, really.
You know?
And we will be still keeping track of the numbers. We keep track of the numbers every day. We just don't report them out except for once a week. So,
Right.
If I see we have another 10 cases or 15 cases by the time we get to Monday, I might be erring on the side of caution at that point. But if we're seeing our typical, after this little bit of a surge, our typical average of about one case a day, then I would say you're going to be good to move forward with phase one.
Good.
Good. And I want to know, because I know our listeners want to know this too. And Chris is our COVID, I don't know what we titled you, but.
Well, people are referring to me now as the COVID cop, even
Oh.
though that's not really the title. It's I am the district's liaison to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for all things COVID-19 in our district.
And to Joe.
And to Joe. So it's that communication. So basically, it's COVID contact is
Okay.
what we're going with.
So I know I'm going to ask what I know people want to know, which is if we have a positive case in our school, what happens? What do we do?
Yeah. Okay. So, we spoke about this a little bit. It's going to be very case specific in the beginning. There's really no reason for people to panic. I know this happened last year. There was a lot of information going on before you guys actually closed down.
I remember. I had to call you.
Yeah, there was a suspect case of somebody who thought they had contact with somebody who had contact with somebody.
Right.
Something like that.
Sisters, brothers,
so
cousins,
even-
uncle.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, yeah.
Yes.
So, and then people went crazy because they're fear of the unknown, obviously.
Right.
But and now we're in a different situation where we've been down this road. We know that there's no cookie cutter answer to this scenario. So if you get one case, it's going to be an immediate case investigation. We're really good now at the turnaround time from the time of testing till the time of reporting to us.
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot of time's going to go by where that person could potentially be confirmed case and wandering around in the world. We grab them pretty quick and put them into isolation. So that is then going to kick in the contact tracing, which is going to tell us exactly what we need to do. If that person had been in school and other people were exposed for a longer duration than we're comfortable with, that may warrant some sort of a conversation to say, hey, we have to go further and talk to these other people about what their close contact was with this case. So just from that, as you can see, it is very case specific. It's complicated. One case doesn't warrant anything, and there really isn't any threshold that we're going by right now. A lot of people ask that same thing.
Yeah, we keep getting that question.
Right. What's the percentage of staff and students that you'd be looking at to close the school down? And we aren't looking at that. I know there's places that will say, I think it was the University of New York in upstate New York that had a 10% confirmed case rate, and that's where they drew the line and closed down the school. I think 10% is way too much to wait to close down.
Right. I was more like 5, right?
I think 10 is high.
Yeah, but you know what? That's really one of those things we can't put a percentage or a number on it. We're not doing that here.
Right.
We have a little bit better situation because, our population and everything is not like some of the other places where maybe they need to have some sort of a formula to tell them what to do. But for us, we have enough resources. We can make that decision just, without attaching a number to it.
And Joe, I really want to. I'm glad you answered that question as thoroughly as you did, because that is something that we get asked, and I get asked like all the time. And bottom line is, and you mentioned there are things we do need to do in terms of guidance, in terms of I don't want to call them rules, but rules, right? There's a new reality that we live in. So ultimately, we want to thank you for everything you've done for us, and for those listeners that don't know, Joe has been with us every step of the way since we closed down, and over the summer when we had our subcommittees and we had subcommittees all over the place, tackling all kinds of different things to reopen. But our subcommittee was the safety subcommittee, which had school-based administrators, teachers, nurses, parents, and it was great to have Joe and Deb Mulvena from the Department of Public Health, because as we were making plans to put our safety plan in place to reopen, we were getting real-time data on cases, and we were not individuals, but on percentages, and we were getting the best possible recommendations we could right from Joe and right from Deb to help us guide our work. And that's continued. That continued through the summer, and it continues now. I mean, I know Joe probably gets sick of the emails and texts I send him. He's like, "Oh, it's Rogers again," you know what I mean? But we're constantly communicating, because that's how serious we're taking this matter. So
yeah, and it's great. It actually has been great working with you guys and everybody in the schools, even from right in the beginning when we had the nurses volunteer to do contact tracing.
Right.
But I think this is what's special about Westfield, and I tell people this all the time. I said it to your school committee as well, and I really believe it, is that in 22 years that I've been with the city, I have never seen multiple departments function better together than in this scenario. And maybe it's, the desperation of the times and everybody really wants to work and care about the community, or maybe it's just that we have the right people in the right place at the right time. And so, working with you guys has been a pleasure as far as being able to have that. This is another resource I'm talking about we have, which is you guys, to help us to be interested, to really care about controlling the spread.
And we do.
I can't imagine it's that way everywhere. Okay, I know
it's not.
There's personality conflicts, there's disconnects, there's miscommunication in all communities, and I've seen it happen in Westfield before. But this time around, it's not like that. Everybody's firing on the same cylinders. We're all on the same page. We all know the big picture, and everybody gets it. So in that way, it's made my job 100 million times easier, and the interest that you guys are taking and your obvious care about your staff and students. So, yeah, so that's been a good thing.
Yeah. No, thank you. And
Thanks,
and
Joe.
I can't tell you how, again, I know Chris said it, how much we've appreciated your guidance. I want to tackle another question here, because there's some debates, and I don't know that there should be a debate, but I want to get it from your expertise. How important is mask wearing? Honest, how important is it to stopping the spread of this virus?
Yeah, there's a very descriptive example I could use, but I won't, because it's
I don't think we're on a 6-second delay, right?
No, we're not. No delay.
Yeah, so it is very important. I mean, the number one thing that I'll say is that everybody knows who follows if you're following the research and everything, that the distancing is the number one most effective thing. Obviously, the further you're away, the less you're going to get any sort of contact from droplets in the air. The mask is basically number two, and I know that there's a lot of people that don't think that it's a real thing or that it helps, and you got to keep going back to saying it's not necessarily that's not your number one most effective personal protection. It's really for everyone else, so that there's plenty of evidence and research that suggests that, very possibly the virus can get through a cloth mask or even a surgical mask. Most people aren't wearing N95 masks, but that would be the most effective. But, you have to think of it like this. You're reducing the spread of whatever you may have, whether you know it or not. You can be contagious and asymptomatic. The masks are helping you not spread whatever you may have. It's not the be-all to end-all. It's not 100% effective, but it is something that everybody can do, and there's no reason not to. So with that said, that's the reason why there are orders from the governor for, especially in certain places like grocery stores and retail outlets where you have to wear a mask unless you have a condition.
But I'm starting to see that. I mean, I was at a grocery store yesterday and I saw a couple people without a mask.
Well, I think, and I'm not playing devil's advocate here because obviously we need to wear masks. That's not. But I think what sometimes the pushback from people is you can't tell me what to do. That is the beauty of America is we have we have those freedoms. But at the same time, if we're trying to quell and squash the spread of any type of virus, let alone this one that's kind of taken the world by storm over the last year, we really should be wearing masks when we're in public. I think where sometimes people get confused is let's take a restaurant, right? Restaurants are open, right? And I have to wear a mask when I go to the counter or the host to be seated, but then the minute I'm seated, I can take my mask off. Well, that makes sense because I have to eat.
Well, you can't eat through a mask.
Well, that's it, right? So, but then when I get up to use to travel in the restaurant, walk,
you
then I've got to put my mask back on. So I think people just have to understand that's what we need to do right now. It's not always going to be this way. We're going to get out of this at some point. But if we're going to get out of it, we got to stick to the script, so to speak.
So, and that's what Joe, I was going to ask you. I mean, we in March and April we had some elevated numbers for sure. What do you attribute to the decrease in numbers we've seen since? I mean, what did we do right?
I'll answer that, but first I want to back up a little to what Chris said. And You're right, great country that we live in, and we have all the freedoms we want. You're right. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you where you can and can't go.
Yeah,
exactly. In the United States,
exactly.
Is that if it's my property, if it's my private property, I don't have to let you on if you're not doing what I want you to do. So that's why you'll see some of the stores even that say must wear a mask.
Yeah, you see the signs when you walk in.
You're not entitled to be allowed to go in there. They can simply say no if you can't wear a mask, even if it's for a medical condition. Then you can't come in here. So just that's out there. Anyway.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right, exactly. I left that part out. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, yeah. So you're right. I can't tell you what to do, but that means if you don't want to do it, there's certain places you can't go. Certainly not City Hall. So that's another one.
Well, and that same logic applies to the schools.
Right.
Because we will not let our employees or our students in our buildings when they're congregating with others without wearing a mask and face covering. It's just that's it. That's protocol. You're doing it, and it's pretty cut and dry. Our protocols and our plans are really good, but they're only as good as how they're implemented. So we got to implement them with fidelity.
Right.
Well, and you talk about what you can attribute to the decline in cases that we had in the very beginning. And I can tell you 100% the reason for that was the contact tracing collaborative that we had with about 12 people all working on, isolating, quarantining people, working, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. That was how that happened. And, was it because people were listening to the guidance and washing their hands and not touching their face and social distancing and wearing masks? Yes. Most people were very good about that. But the number one thing on the other side, on our side, our responsibility, is that contact tracing and identifying and pulling people out of the mix before they continue to spread. So if we didn't have that extra help that we did, I don't think we would have seen our numbers come down as quickly and low as they did.
Wow.
So that's what I attribute it to.
Can you talk about contact tracing what does that entail?
So basically what happens is if you go to your doctor and you get tested for COVID or anywhere you get tested for COVID, the results of that test get entered into a database that goes to the state health department and then is disseminated out to the local boards of health. Each local board of health is responsible for doing contact tracing on a resident who's been confirmed in their community. So immediately what you do is it has all the contact information in there for the person. You call them and you let them know that, you're confirmed, you need to be isolated, you're going to get an order, we're going to serve that on you. It's mandatory, it's not voluntary. And now we need to ask you questions about the people who you've been in close contact with, and then they define what that is. And we need their information so we can get in touch with them and let them know that if they're a person of interest based on exposure to you, that they need to be quarantined. So just one thing about that is the difference between isolation and quarantine.
What
isolation is for the isolation is for the people who have been identified as positive cases.
Okay.
The quarantine is for people who have not been identified as positive cases but have had close contact with a person. Yes, with a person who is confirmed. So there's two different things. It really doesn't make a difference, generally speaking, but that's just the semantics of it. And yeah.
And that's a good distinction, because one of the questions that I'm getting asked quite a bit lately by school staff is, well, if we have a student or staff member who, is a close contact, and we quarantine, and while that person's quarantined, they test negative for COVID, do they need to stay quarantined for the full 14 days, or can they resume their day-to-day activity?
Well, again, that's all a case by case, because it depends on whether that person has been symptomatic or asymptomatic.
Right.
So they could be exhibiting symptoms and test negative, but that is a whole different thing as far as when they can return back into the public. It's a timeline prescribed by the state,
right.
If they were symptomatic. So if they were asymptomatic and they test negative, then they're free to resume doing whatever they want.
And that's what we keep saying is just refer to the guidance, refer to the guidance, refer to the guidance. It's, follow the yellow brick road, so to speak.
I really pity the people in the community who don't do this every day, because it is so unbelievably complicated.
It is.
That even we, and I'm sure you guys as well, get confused from the guidance that comes down and have to read it 50 times before you really digest it. You have to be the expert on that. So, and trying to explain it just like I am now, I know people will still be confused about even just the basics that we're talking about, because it's not a rote kind of black and white sort of thing. Everything case by case basis, and it could go totally in a different direction for each one. So I know people are confused. And then, when people get confused, they get frustrated. When they get frustrated, they get angry. And
right.
We've seen that, and we're trying not to let that happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned something, right off the bat today, and that was, back in March. People were afraid because of the unknown, and people are always afraid of what they don't know, right? That's one of the biggest causes of fear, panic, and frustration is lack of information, is lack of knowledge. So we're trying to keep everybody as updated and as informed as we can. And again, a lot of that is the strong collaboration between the city departments. And one of the things we were telling people all summer long is when someone would ask us a question and we honestly had the answer of I don't know, that was the answer. We weren't withholding any information from anybody at the time. We didn't know, but as soon as we got it, we got it out.
And the other thing, too, while on that thing, is the assumptions that people make and the rumors that fly out there. And I would just encourage people, talk to the source.
Absolutely.
You'll get the answer, and if we don't know, we'll find out for you. That is what we do, So, Joe, anything else? We got a couple minutes left. Is there anything you want to get out there before we wrap up? This is like the fastest hour ever today.
Well, I think it's the new format with the two guests.
Yeah.
It's a good format. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add other than, like I keep saying, this is again that critical time that we've been talking about for a month and a half, where, again, people are coming back from vacation. We're all getting back, people are there's some congregation going on.
Right.
We're really, really trying to keep there's issues with some of the off-campus housing from Westfield State that we're trying not to have be a contributor to any sort of community spread. So police and the university and us are working on that. And so far, things happen, that's to be expected, but I think the message is clear that Westfield's not going to tolerate that. So that's one of our big focuses right now. And then also being able to get you guys to, get you the right information that you need to make a decision. And the last thing that I'll say, though, is, not just with the administration, you guys are awesome, but your school committee gets it, and I appreciate that.
Right.
There's not a lot of infighting in that group. There's not a lot of disagreement. I think for other issues, maybe, but for this, and after I've spoken to them a few times, I have a better I'm more comfortable with their understanding of the big picture. And yeah, I know everybody wants the kids to go back to school, and so do I.
Right.
So do we.
But again,
we got to do it safely.
And people always say, it's not just the go back to school so parents can go to work. It's the mental, emotional
bingo
trials
right.
that the kids are having. I mean, I say it all the time. I have a kid at home right now. She's on her Chromebook in class.
Me too.
But the socialization that she's lacking and has been for the last 6 months, it's obvious, and it's something that I think is going to have to be dealt with moving forward for a long time, because
absolutely
you have to. Yeah, it's just and it's, this is a person that has never had any sort of issues like that, but oh yeah. So when the kids come back, I think it's going to be great for them. I'm not going to stand in the way if I think it's safe enough and safe for the staff. I will be all in on that, but we still have a ways to go. So
we do,
and we need to use data.
We need to use data. Yeah, and again, people, if you feel sick, stay home, right, Joe? I mean,
right.
That's the message. If you're not feeling well.
Yeah, I mean, and then we're getting into the flu season now, so
right.
Make sure you get your flu
shot. Right. Which is now a mandate anyway.
Good luck enforcing that.
Yeah.
But, here's the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned the flu, Joe, because that's going to get very interesting, because all of the symptoms of the flu are basically the symptoms of COVID-19. So I think
a lot of similarities, right?
A lot of similarities.
Very, very much so. Yeah. The similarity, most common symptoms for both are almost identical. So the thing is that I'm hoping, healthcare providers will account for that when people go in, the suspect of either one, that they're going to skip a whole respiratory panel of tests and just go test you right for flu or COVID or both.
Right.
Makes sense.
So and that was one of the problems in the beginning. There wasn't that, it wasn't tightened up as well, but it is now. So get your flu shots. Definitely stay home if you're sick. Everybody understands. Nobody wants you around.
Right. Seriously.
I mean, really, it
doesn't matter how sparkling your personality is.
No. Stay home. We don't want it.
We had like 8 people in our office at the health department yesterday. Somebody sneezed out in the outer area, and I think I was going to lose my mind. It's a whole different day. It's like, what was that?
Yeah.
He probably encountered some dust and has an allergy.
Well, and there's allergies.
Right, so.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you
Thanks,
for
Joe.
joining us. I think it's the first time you've been on our show. We'll have you on again.
Yeah, we'll definitely have him on.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for the partnership and working with us. I can't express our appreciation enough.
Absolutely.
Yep. Same with me, guys. Definitely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Joe. All right, folks, that's it. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
We're done. You have a quick announcement you want to make?
Yeah, just a quick one. Westfield's Special Education Parent Advisory Council is having their Google Classroom kickoff, enhancing special education through online tools, Thursday, September 24th, so a week from today, 6:30 p.m. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be a Zoom meeting. The link is on our Westfield Public Schools Facebook page. That'll bring you right to the meeting ID number as well as the password. But again, Westfield CPAC's Google Classroom, kind of enhancing special education through online tools. Thursday, the 24th, 2020 at 6:30.
Hey, Joe, are you still on the line?
You
I
lost.
wonder if,
No.
I wonder if
Hey-
you dropped.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Oh,
Joe's
yeah.
here.
Joe, you got to do your tagline.
Oh, all right. Well, let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. We're ready.
All right. Stay healthy, my friends.
Now we can end the show.
So Joe's
Thank
the
you,
most
Joe.
interesting department health head in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's just an original thing, I say.
Yeah.
We like it.
We like it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. All right, folks, tune in next week. We expect to have Ryan Dunphy, our athletic director, and we're talking about athletics.
And we might actually go back to actually having a sports segment with Ryan on the show. We can
Right.
talk about the Yankees prepping for the playoffs. The Patriots just continue to win, regardless of who their quarterback is.
And some tension between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady.
I saw that.
Yeah, week 1. All right, folks, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
1, 2, 3.
I just wanna see my friends. I wanna walk the street again. But I gotta be patient. So let's enjoy this combination.
I just wanna feel your love. 'Cause Instagram is not enough for me. So I gotta be patient. Let's enjoy this combination.
And every day we'll sing a song to make you dance until this ends.
I just wanna see my friends. I wanna walk the streets again. So I gotta be patient. Let's enjoy this combination.
Si tienes ganas de salir, lo siento pero no, tienes que quedarte ahí. Pero cuando canto esta canción, ahí me brilla el corazón y me siento muy feliz. And every day we'll sing a song to make you dance until this ends.
I just wanna see my friends. I wanna walk the street again. But I gotta be patient. So let's enjoy this combination.
Every night and
So I
every
gotta
day.
be patient. Let's enjoy this combination.
I gotta be patient.
I gotta be.
So let's enjoy this combination.